Courtroom 6 of the Federal Justice Hall was not a place for the faint of heart. The walls themselves seemed to carry weight, high vaulted ceilings with panels polished to a gloss, brass lamps that gave off a tired yellow glow. It was a room built to impress, to intimidate, to remind every soul who stepped inside that the state was larger than any individual. But on this day the grandeur couldn't mask the tension. The air hung heavy and stale, the ceiling fans turning lazily above a restless crowd. Journalists whispered behind their notepads, clerks shuffled files, police officers stood stiff with folded arms. Everyone was watching, calculating, waiting. At the center of it all sat Judge Miriam Caldwell. 61 years old, with steel-gray hair pulled into a bun and eyes that had reduced seasoned attorneys to stuttering wrecks, Miriam was a figure both revered and feared. 30 years on the bench had earned her a reputation as a fierce guardian of civil rights, particularly when law enforcement stepped beyond its bounds. Detectives had been known to alter their testimony mid-sentence when caught in the frost of her stare. She never raised her voice, she didn't need to. Silence, in her hands, was sharper than any blade. And yet, as she flipped through the thick file before her, even Miriam felt a weariness settling in her chest. She knew what these cases cost her. The truth was never written cleanly on the page. It lived in the contradictions, the silences, the bruises photographed but never explained. Today's case was one of those. Darius Cole, 17. An honor student. No criminal record. Arrested walking home from tutoring, backpack slung over his shoulder, headphones over his ears. Detained without warrant, thrown to the ground, wrists cuffed so tightly that the marks lasted for days. Then left in a holding cell for 7 hours with no phone call, no lawyer, no explanation. The officer who had arrested him was no stranger to complaints. Detective Conrad Hale. A man whose name had circled through whispers of misconduct for nearly a decade, yet had never once been disciplined. Shielded by red tape, buffered by silent alliances. The kind of officer who smiled at the system because he knew it worked for him, not against him. The double doors opened with a groan and all eyes turned. Conrad Hale entered. Immaculate uniform, badge gleaming, posture straight as a blade. He moved with the calm of a man who believed he was untouchable. No hesitation in his step, no flicker of discomfort in his eyes. Miriam lifted her gaze. Detective Hale. Were you present on the night of April 9th? Yes, he replied, his voice flat, almost bored. I responded to suspicious behavior. Suspicious? The word rolled off her tongue with deliberate weight. The young man was walking home with a backpack and headphones. He resisted, Conrad said without emotion. Standard containment protocol was applied. Miriam arched a brow. Your report mentions a concealed weapon. That detail was added after the arrest, wasn't it? Pause. Barely a fraction of a second. But she saw it, the flicker in his eyes, the tightening of his jaw. Recollection added clarity, he muttered. And yet, Miriam leaned forward, the footage shows no such weapon. The search log shows no such weapon. Only bruises. Only silence. The words rippled through the courtroom like a stone tossed into still water. Darius sat stiff beside his lawyer, his lips pressed tight, refusing to show the fear in his chest. In the gallery, his mother clutched a tissue so tightly it nearly tore apart in her hands. Miriam closed the file with a sharp snap that echoed like a gunshot. Detective, you were not afraid. You were entitled. And entitlement has no place in my courtroom. Due to inconsistencies in your report, evidence manipulation, and the use of excessive force, I am recommending a full criminal investigation into your conduct. Gasps broke out. A flashbulb popped. Journalists scribbled furiously. Conrad's jaw twitched. His composure cracked, if only for a heartbeat. Then he rose from his seat. I have something to say, he barked. Sit down, the bailiff snapped, hand on his sidearm. But Conrad stepped forward, his eyes locked on Miriam like a predator on its mark. Detective, you are out of line, Miriam said evenly. And then it happened. A sharp electric crack split the air. A violet arc of light streaked from beneath Conrad's sleeve, a concealed stun device. It slammed into Miriam's chest. Her body convulsed violently. Papers exploded across the bench like startled birds. She toppled backward, skull striking the hardwood floor with a sickening crack. For a heartbeat, the courtroom froze. Then chaos erupted. Screams tore the air. Officers shouted. One reached for his weapon, then faltered, uncertain which side he stood on. Journalists ducked beneath benches, cameras still clicking blindly. The gallery surged forward, then back like a wave crashing and retreating. And through it all, Conrad stood unmoving, chest heaving. He didn't look like a man who had lost control. He looked like a man who had finally carried out a plan. "Seal the courtroom," shouted Elijah Grant, Darius's defense attorney, his voice cutting through the panic. "Get medics, now." Miriam lay twitching faintly, her breath shallow, her eyes rolling back. A woman with a med kit rushed forward, only to be blocked by another uniform. "She's dying," the woman cried. "Stand back," the officer barked. The room fractured instantly, between those who still shielded the badge and those who saw it burning before their eyes. Minutes later, paramedics burst through the doors. Miriam was carried out on a stretcher, her face pale, mouth slack, machines already humming against her chest. Conrad Hale was taken into custody. No cuffs. No resistance. He walked out as though this had all been part of his shift. In the far corner, unnoticed by most, a woman slipped quietly from the room. Naomi Vega. Journalist. Restless. Sharp-eyed. She had been covering the case for weeks, sensing something larger beneath its surface. That night, in her tiny one-bedroom above a laundromat, Naomi sat staring at her laptop. An email appeared, no sender listed. The subject line read, "Trial Day 4, full version." Her pulse quickened. She clicked. The video loaded in fragments, stuttering. But when it cleared, Naomi's breath caught. It showed everything. Not just the attack. Not just Miriam collapsing. But the moments before, Conrad exchanging a glance with another officer, a small nod, a quick handshake behind a clipboard. A signal. This wasn't spontaneous. It was orchestrated. Naomi replayed the video once. Twice. A third time. Someone wanted her to see this. She copied the file to 3 different locations, including a hidden server she kept for sensitive work. Then she opened a blank document and began typing. A silent execution in the House of Justice. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. "You saw it." Her breath froze. "Who is this?" "Watch your back," the voice rasped. "They don't just silence judges." The line went dead. Her laptop camera flickered on. She hadn't touched it. Then came the knock. Slow. Rhythmic. Not a neighbor's knock. Naomi's heart pounded. She reached for her external drive. The lights flickered. Another knock. By morning, a gray sedan idled outside her building. Then another vehicle appeared, engine running. An email landed in her inbox. "This isn't your concern." But Naomi didn't back down. She traced the source of the video. The signal came from a device parked near the judicial staff entrance. Someone inside the courthouse was watching. Someone inside wanted this truth exposed. She contacted Elijah. They met in a dim cafe, the kind where the light never seemed to reach the corners. She slid her laptop across the table. He watched the footage, jaw tightening. "If we leak this now, it'll backfire. They'll claim it's doctored." "It's encrypted," Naomi replied. "If anything happens to me, it goes public. Everywhere." By then, the internet had already seized fragments. Cropped clips went viral. The hashtag Justice for Miriam surged across the country. Independent lawyers demanded action. Forensic analysts confirmed the video was real. Officials stayed silent. Police issued only a single statement. Conrad Hale was suspended pending review. No mention of Miriam. No mention of the stun device. In her hospital bed, Miriam Caldwell opened her eyes. Her first words were faint but steady. "Did the trial end?" Elijah showed her the video. She didn't flinch. When it ended, she asked for a pen. Her hand scrawled across the page. "We live in a system that silences when it airs, and shouts only when exposed. I want no apologies. I want them to tremble as I did." The battle had only begun.